my demos that I do here on Whatnot to YouTube later. So if you haven't yet, you can visit craftyandcrazy.com, and that has a link to my YouTube channel as well as all of my other social medias. And all of my previous demos that I have done on Whatnot are on there. And some of them I still have kits for in my shop as well. So feel free to peruse that while we get crafty. Oop, who won our givey? Holly! Holly, you're going to get the little Norman Rockwell cards. Those are coming to you, sweetie. Alright, so we're going to take the sheet of tags and the sheet of pockets and the closure thing, and I'm going to put those to the side because we don't need that yet. We are going to work on this guy, which is our cover of our portfolio. So I tried, yeah, forgive me, I tried my damnedest. I couldn't get them to line up perfectly. They're super close. So if you trim on one side, you'll see we'll flip over and we might need to trim off some white space on the other side because I got it super, super close. And I finally gave up because it wasn't getting any closer. Because I didn't want it to have to be two different pages that you had to like glue back to back. I wanted it to be one double-sided thing to make it really easy. All right, so to start this one off, we're just going to cut it out. And then get our practices in cutting on the line. I realize it's been a little while since I did a live demo, so I'm really glad I hopped on this train. I've been getting too into not scheduling craft with me as in shop, which I do have one at the end of January. I'm sticking with doing I've been doing weekly Wednesday night shows on Whatnot since I joined in June, I think it was. And that's usually around 10 Eastern Standard. And they're kind of one of those whatever, no plan to it, what do y'all want to look at? And I kind of just jump in. Sometimes I start off with new things in my shop. Yeah, printing double-sided is it's a beast. But now into this new year, because in December a lot of the Wednesdays were holidays, so a lot of my December shows were Tuesday nights, and I got used to doing it. So I'm also keeping Tuesday night shows. So every Tuesday night around 10-ish Eastern Standard Time, I'm doing a show. But my Tuesday night shows, I'm doing a theme every week. So like this past Tuesday was my Valentine's show, which I do still have some Valentines left. And then I keep finding more as I'm cleaning my craft room. But this Tuesday coming up is going to be my fantasy fairy show. So I will have all kinds of new fairy goodies. And I designed some new fairy printables. Alright, so I trimmed looking at one side, but now we are going to flip over because, so there's this tiny bit that didn't quite line up. So we are going to trim off those white bits. I told y'all it was close, and after wasting a lot of paper, I kind of just gave up. And I was like, I'm going to make one and see how it looks. And it looked good, so. A little bit of the extra. And then I did just get done designing a non-dark romance, like more of a traditional Valentine's one. I don't have the listing created for it yet. But if we have time, I'll show you all that today. We'll just see how long I spend on this. Because I didn't time myself when I made the other one. Not to mention I was watching TV while making it. Which means it took longer. All right, so now we have it all cut out and all trimmed up. So I am going to ink my sides, even though it is nicely printed to be distressed. I don't like this bright white you get from the sides from where, you know, it's regular photo paper. So I'm going to just ink around it real quick. You can either ink it with like vintage photo or walnut. I am just going to do it with some black because I kind of liked how it turned out on the other one. And you can ink it as little or as much as you want. I'm not really inking it a ton. I'm mostly just getting rid of the white on the sides. Just because it doesn't go with the theme. Is it easy to create and make them? I guess it depends on what kind of software experience you have. Going into creating my own printables, I gotta tell you, the stuff that I use now I had never really touched before I started doing it. So it's definitely been a learning process trying to find stuff. And like right now I found a new software I want to learn how to use. And then the link for it's just been sitting in my email where I emailed it to myself, kind of looming at me to try something new because I after I design like different images and stuff, I put it into Canva, but Canva doesn't really do all the stuff I want it to. I just happen to have access to Canva because we use it for our family business and I use it for marketing for that. So I need to try to learn how to use some actual design software. So that is my next thing that I plan on doing. But I mean, it's not too terrible if you can figure stuff out on your own. I guess that's what it kind of depends on. All right, so we've got our cover distressed. I am going to cut out our closure and our pockets. And even if you're not into designing your own imagery stuff, there's a lot of places you can go and you can purchase commercial licensing. Well, I mean, you don't have to purchase commercial if you're not planning on selling the stuff you make with it. But you can purchase imagery and use it to design your own like portfolios and pockets and things like that. You don't have to make everything from scratch. I do have some stuff I've made from scratch. So it takes a lot more time. You're welcome. All right. So when you're cutting it out, make sure you cut out the little light colored tabs that are connected to it, because those are for you to use to attach it into the cover. Right. And I'm not cutting out the top part with these huge scissors. I'm going to use my smaller scissors so that I don't destroy it. These are great for quickly cutting things, but you can't really finesse stuff with this size scissor. All right. So I use embroidery scissors, which is what these are. These are the ones I just lose the least because it has a little tassel on it, so it doesn't get lost in all the stuff that accumulates on the desk. Because I have a few different pair, and honestly, I don't know where the other ones are. But they're super sharp scissors if you've never used embroidery scissors, but they're great for fussy cutting or for trying to get really smooth cuts on things that have intricateness. I don't know if that's a word, but it is now. Intricateness. Your pens like to get lost. I understand that. I have an issue with keeping track of specifically the black Sharpies. All the other Sharpies, I tend to do okay keeping track of them, but the black Sharpies tend to get lost. I don't know if it's because they're the ones I use the most, or, and it's funny too, because I'm pretty sure the black Sharpies are the ones that I have the most of. Like some colors I only have one of, and I have several black ones, and the black Sharpies are always getting misplaced. Right now, everything in my craft room is getting misplaced repeatedly, mostly because my husband and his dad built a storage tote wall in our basement to help us organize our basement and my craft room. So we have been doing that and started organizing things, which means as I organize, I find things, but as I organize, I lose things. So it's been a thing. All right, so pockets are cut out, and then I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to, oh wait, hold on. No, we're going to fold first, then we'll ink, because we don't need to ink this part. We need to ink along the square part. So I'm going to use a scoring board, but if you don't have a scoring board, it's not necessary to have one to be able to fold the pockets. You can totally just do it with like a ruler or like a sharp edge of a table. Let's see if I can get this out here. Move my phone. Move the things. But a scoring board does come in handy for getting you really crisp folds. Since I'm not folding to like a certain measurement with a paper, all I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this corner and this corner with, make sure they're the same line of the scoring board. And I'm just going to score down that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And if you think I'm being silly by saying make sure you're lining it up with the same line, it happens. I've totally scored diagonally across and slid out of a line because I wasn't lined up right. All right, and then we're going to do the same with the bottom. And then we'll do the same on this pocket. And then, in case you don't have a scoring board, I will show you with a ruler. So I usually line up what I'm planning to fold hanging off the edge of the ruler. And this is a metal ruler, so it works really well for it. And then just bend over that. And that way you can get your crisp straight line bend without a scoring board. So it is possible. It just doesn't do it as deep as you get it with the scoring board. All right, let's take this massive thing away. And if you're ever interested in any of the tools or anything you see me use in demos on my website, there is a link to lists of items and tools that I use. All right, so now we're gonna take one folder And if you don't have one of these, you can use the handle of your scissors. You can use an old gift card that you already spent the money on. Whatever you can do to just push down and get a really nice crisp fold. And since we're going to be inking, that one I didn't quite do perfectly, but it'll be okay. We're going to ink it anyway, so it won't stand out as much after that. Alright, so we got all 3 sides on that one. Do the same on this one. Alright, and now we can ink. And I'm just going to ink around my edges. And like I said, you can do the brown if you'd rather it blend into that edge better, but I kind of like the dark pop. I'm also going to ink along the top. And see, now you can't tell I folded that one a little crazy because it matches. Oh, I inked my thumb. Oh, that one. And then going into these swoopies. And I like these little finger ones because unlike the bigger daubers, you can kind of try to get into little spots a little bit better. So that one is all inked up. All right, so we're gonna grab our cover. So I was gonna do, I mean, you can do it either way you would like, but I was gonna use this as my outside part because if I put these pockets on, then you're not gonna see those gorgeous hearts. So I'm gonna use this black part as my inside. I am gonna go ahead and fold along this line, which you could also score that, but it'd be okay. As long as you just line up those edges. I kind of line up those edges first. And then mush in. Oops, a little off. There we go. So I tried to keep the pages even with each other so it's not like at a crazy angle like this or something. And then I'm also going to fold this in, but I'm not going to fold it super tight to this page. I'm going to leave it a little bit of space when I fold it in because this is going to get a little thicker with the pockets and tags in there, and especially if you add a signature in there. So I don't want it to be super tight to the page. And if you do decide to put a signature in there, you might want to wait to fold this flap until after you've sewn the signature in. That way you make sure you have enough space. But you see, I didn't fold right up against this. I kind of gave it, I don't know what I gave it, like a 1/4 of a centimeter. I don't know. I don't really measure things too often unless I need to. All right. So now we are going to start with putting our pockets in. So obviously you can put either pocket, either place. They'll both fit. They're the same size. I'm going to start with this guy. So when I glue this in, I'm going to glue it more towards this fold because I'm going to leave space for if I decide to come back later and add a signature in here. So I'm going to fold it up against this flap, but you want to make sure where you're folding it that both your pages can close with where you position it. So don't just do one line of glue. You want to make sure you do a line of glue towards what is going to be on top, but you also want to glue this bottom flat part down. You can also sit here and spread it with your finger all along it, but that would take us a little while longer, and I wasn't going to make y'all watch me play with glue that much. But I am making sure to get it on the top part of the flap and the bottom part, even though I can't draw a straight line to save my life. All right, and now we're going to make sure when I get this in here that it's lined up with the bottom and that all my flaps are tucked in really well. My glue is slightly forgiving, so like in the first few seconds I can move it slightly, but after that that's kind of where it lives. All right, and then we're going to repeat with our other guy. All right, and this one I'm going to put it as close to this other corner as I can and try to line it up both with my, oh, I might have did my fold too far over. It's okay, we're going to live with it. Alright, that's going to make folding interesting. It sure is. Right. Well, I did not leave room for a signature. Well, it'll be okay. Oh no, that is not okay. Alright. Even when you've made something before, you can mess it up. Alright, we're going to fold this pocket a little further in because I made my fold too close. Now y'all get to see what happens when you don't do it right. It gives you ideas on how to fix it in case you do it. Alright. So we're gonna push this down and make this pocket smaller. I'm not pulling back out that board, but we'll use our ruler to make a new line. Even the pocket is trying to run from me. Okay. Alright, so now all we're going to do is we're going to re-ink this, and I'm going to re-ink that where it didn't play well with its neighbor. Let's see if that is going to be small enough. I totally forgot about making sure I made my fold far enough over from my pocket. Alright, so that will leave space. So now we have a gap between our two pockets, which is what we needed. I'm gonna re-glue where we glued. It looks so crazy. Alright. Alright, let's try this again. Lining up with our corner. And pushing it down. And if any glue seeps out, I'm using the art glitter glue so it will turn clear later. So there won't be oozy white spots once it dries completely. So there's a little bit oozing in the crack. Alright. Now it actually folds. Alright, so we're going to let this dry. And I'll wait to do the closure till that dries a little bit. And we're going to cut out our tags. Do the same thing I did before. I'm going to cut with my big scissors to get everything out, and then our more finicky areas I will do with my little scissors, since they have the ability to have a little more finesse to them. And I've learned the trick with the rounded corners is to move both the paper and your scissors constantly. And it gives you a pretty nice rounded shape. And if you can't get the rounding the corners down, because some days my hands can't do it either, you can always just cut it, corner. Don't worry about cutting off the rounded part, and then just use a corner punch to round your journaling cards and tags. You don't necessarily, when you're cutting out tags, you don't actually have to cut it out the way it says. For the oval tags, your scissors and your paper should be moving constantly. Although I will tell you that distressing totally helps when you don't cut things really super pretty. Because once the edges are darkened up, you can't really tell how exact your cutting was. Don't have to worry about being a perfectionist. All right. I'm going to grab my hole punch for these two round ones that have the little hole marks. And on my example, I did put grommets on them, but we'll get to that. All right, for the switch back to the little embroidery scissors for the more specific cuts. Oh, bent it. All right. We're almost there. And then we just got to do distressing our tags and our band and then install the closure on the portfolio. And of course, add ribbon. But okay. So see, my little finesse cuts aren't perfect, even with the embroidery scissors. But once you give them a little bit of color, it definitely helps them to look a lot more pristine when they've got the color pops. And I think they just look a lot more finished once they have the inking on them. All right, a little bit of ink on the journaling card to make it match everything else. And then our two little oval tags. And I like to do around the edges and around the holes when I punch holes. All right. Only thing left is our little closure band, which we don't want the bright white strip running across the front of our little portfolio. Now I put the tag on there because I thought it would be useful, and then when I was making it, I didn't actually use this tab to attach it. So we are actually gonna just get rid of that. I felt like it made it look too much like a strip of paper just glued on there. I didn't like how it looked. All right, so now we got all of our parts, and this has had time to dry. So we're gonna close this up. Now, looking at the example, so I made it so that the end part lands on the back, and that is where I have a little clear. This side is clear that is on it, and the white part is on the back of that, so it doesn't, you can't really see it, and that is how we attached our closure. You can also, if you want it to glue this part right here, just on the back, like right there, and make this also a belly band at the same time as its closure, you can tuck stuff back there as well. Or if you just wanted to cut this down and use it as a belly band, and you could do a hole punch with a grommet and do a wraparound closure. So, I mean, it's really up to you how you make it. It is yours, but I'm just going to do the similar design as this and attach with the Velcro band. And the Velcro is included in the kit, so you don't have to find your own little Velcro dot. I like the little clear ones because they don't stand out on stuff. All right. So we are going to line up. Going to line this up. I'm actually going to start on the back. And wrap. And if you're putting that signature in, make sure you do that before you put your closure on, or leave a little extra space. When you fold, don't fold it too tight to it, which is what I am doing. I left a little extra space in case down the road I want to do something else with it. I'm also going to leave a little extra space on this fold, so it's not super tight to it. I did it a little off of it so it has room to breathe. All right. So on the back, I'm going to put a few lines of glue just so that there's a good bit to hold it on there. And I'm going to make sure my front is lined up. I like it over, like directly over that little middle swoopy part of the flap. I'll line that up right there. Give it just a moment. Now if you want to make it a belly band, you can add some glue right here, and then you have a tuck spot on your back. There we go. Alright, and now I'm going to grab a Velcro dot, shove one in here so I would have it. Hold it somewhere in here. Here it is. It's not a glue dot, a Velcro dot. Alright, so this has two sides. One is the fuzzy side and one is the clear side. I'm going to put the clear side on the journal, or portfolio. I'm just going to center it on there. Nope. I didn't actually center it, but that's where it lives now. Alright, and then to get this closure lined up, I'm going to actually take off the sticky, and I'm going to go ahead and match the fuzzy part with the clear part with the sticky side up, and then close this over it to smush into the sticky part. So now they should be perfectly lined up. And now we have our little Velcro closure. Ta-da! And I got ink on there. Alright, so for our tags, I'm going to slide the journaling card in here. And then your kit will come with 2 feet of 2 different black trims. Or a foot each of 2 different trims, so 2 feet in total. Yeah. So I have a clear sheer. Words, y'all. I'm not caffeinated enough. One is a sheer black and one is a satin black. So I'm going to cut each of the feet in half to use on the 4 different tags. And then the quickest way, and you can attach your things however you want to, I just take the midpoint and shove it through on the ones with holes, and you can also make holes on the other ones. And if you don't want to make holes in the rectangle ones, the way I put this kind of ribbon on a tag when I don't want a hole on it, is I take what I want to be the front, which the shiny side is what I want on the front, and I kind of do that. I don't know if that's, so maybe I should show it this way. Okay, I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to try, like, pull it over so there's a triangle on that. So then it makes this perfect little floof. And I just shove a little glue where it's folded in half. And then I shove a little glue where I'm going to triangle fold it. And then I hold it for just a bit and it'll end up staying like that. And then you just I put the shiny side facing down on my paper. And sometimes it makes for a better flat tag without having a knot or something to be able to fit down in the stuff. And if you don't like the way it looks on the back, you can always put a little circle sticker or a die cut circle or anything on the back of that. And put a little more glue in there. Alright, so we'll do that again. I'll fold in half. Shove some glue down in there. And fold that across that. And usually I hold you till you dry a little better. Trying to make it so watching glue dry isn't part of a demo is very hard. Thank y'all for being patient with me. We can go ahead and stick this one in there and that one in there. Well, I don't think I will get to the bright colored Valentine's portfolio, but I can at least show y'all the sheet, although I don't know if I put the listing in the show. But I will probably be doing it on my Craft With Me and shop towards the end of the month. If y'all want to bookmark that one. Add these guys in here. And now we have our cute little heart one. So if you're looking at the options for the kits, this is the heart themed one. And this is your rose theme one. The two different designs, but the same directions on putting them together. And just two different looks.